Okay, so I'm back in my room with non-professional lighting, but I'll try to just make all the improvements I can as the winter goes on. All right, so it'll all work out. Originally by the great Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Okay, so first of all, to talk about the tuning. So she's playing this on her baritone guitar, which is, you know, a bigger, lower guitar, right? So, and she's in open A with a capo at the first fret. Okay, so if you have a baritone guitar, you can tune it that way. On a regular guitar, I put this in open B flat, aka open A sharp, but that's a pretty crazy tuning to put a regular guitar into. The strings just get like real floppy. So depending how it's working for you on your guitar, you can play this same part in any open tuning. So if you want to go into just open D flat, C sharp, open C, you know, which are just like a little less crazy, the part will sound the same. It'll just sound higher. I don't know how it'll work for your voice, but anyway. Or you can get into this crazy low tuning, which is the low E string down to a B flat, aka an A sharp, the A string down to an F, the D string down to a B flat, aka A sharp, the G string down to a D, the B string down to an F, and the high E string also down to a B flat, aka A sharp. Okay, it's a very low tuning to put your guitar into. Anyway, so that's my caveat about that. Let's talk a little bit about the finger picking. The song is in 3. It's a waltz, basically. Ish. You know, there's a couple ways you can think about the picking pattern, I would say. You know, one is you could just sort of get a general thing going of like, so your thumb can just be kind of strumming the low strings, like down, down, up, down, 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 up, down. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then the important thing is what your index is doing. So that's happening depending on their own upbeats, it's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and so it's the index playing the high E string, which is now a B flat, on the and of 2, and then playing the B string, which is now an F, on the and of 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and, you know. Your thumb can also do a little bit more. She kind of goes back and forth between like more of like a picking pattern with the thumb and more of a strumming thing, I think. So like it could be even more like so the thumb could really do first strumming or picking sort of the low strings, then maybe playing just the D string, or sort of the D string and the G string. It could be like low, then D and G, then index on the high E string, then maybe the lows again, then the index on the B, something like that. Or like low strings, D and a little bit of the G, index on the high E, D and G again, index on the B. If you watch her play it, the thumb looks a little more like strummy to me most of the time, but sometimes you can hear the part get a little more picky. You know, the thing about strumming versus picking, I just mean basically is your thumb like plucking the D string? Is it going low strings, D string, index, D string, index on B? You know, you can play it more like that, or you can play it more like, I would say both are valid. Okay, hopefully that helps. Now I'll show you the chords. So the verse. The intro is some version of the verse. On the record, it seems really like, I can't really even figure out what exactly it is. You know, it's some of the chords in some order. So I just did sort of part of the verse as my intro, but I'll just show you the verse and then you can make up your own intro out of it. But okay, so the verse starts with this chord, which is the 4 chord, aka an E flat. So second finger on the 5th fret of the low E, the 6th string, 3rd finger on the 5th fret of the 5th string, aka the A string. So this chord. For one bar. Then everything open, B flat chord. Then up to here, the 5 chord, aka an F. Okay, so second finger on the 7th fret of the low E, 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the A, pinky on the 7th fret of the G, 3rd string. This is one of those parts where maybe your thumb gets that. The second strum that your thumb does, it gets the D and the G to kind of get that pretty note. You know, or not. Okay, so, and then it goes right back to here. Right back to the open. Okay, so the first 4 chords is the 5th fret one, open, the 7th fret one, back to open. Okay, now it sort of is like it's repeating that, but this time it stays on this for 4 bars, right? So it's like the same progression. Now it's sometimes often at the end of those 4 bars when it holds on this, it does that little move. So it's like you're on the 5th fret and then right on the last beat of the last measure, you go down to the 4th fret on the E and the A. Looked like weather. 2, 3, 1, 2. You know? Now it's like sort of like a repeat, you know? That one to that one. I let her down. But now, this is your last last new chord, basically. This is like the 6th chord or a G minor. First finger is on the 8th fret of the G string or the 3rd string. Second finger is on the 9th fret of the low E string or the 6th string. And your 3rd finger is on the 9th fret of the A string or the 5th string. So when I knew what you knew was it. That's the way it goes. We'll get into that. It'll work out. Same thing now of going from the 4 chord to the 1 chord to the 5 chord, and then this for 4 bars. Then it repeats that verse. And again, you can do that where when you hold this for 4 bars. You can do this. So now there's another verse. I noticed in a live version, an alternate version of this chord that she does. In the second verse, it's like so she brings her thumb around to play the 5th fret on the low E string. So you're in this chord, right? Keep the pinky there on the 7th fret of the G string. Let everything else up. And have the thumb play the 5th fret of the low E. Now, if you don't like playing with your thumb, which a lot of people don't, you can use your first finger. So this is an alternate of this chord, of the E flat chord. It's like, so something on the 5th fret of the low E and something on the 7th fret of the G. Kind of a pretty chord. Okay, that's the verse. Then there's the bridge. I mean, maybe it's the chorus. It'll all work out eventually, that part. Okay, and that part is just this 4 chord, it's the 1 chord, to the 5 chord, back to the 1 chord. By the way, these terms like 1 chord and 4 chord and 5 chord, hopefully, if you don't know them, because I could also call these, this is like the 5th fret chord, this is the open chord, this is the 7th fret chord. So this chord, back to open, back to the 5 chord, the 7th fret chord, back to the open, better off, back to there, back to the 5th fret, open. Now, this time you go to this chord, to the 5 chord, the 7th fret chord, and you hold this one for 8 bars. Eventually 2, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 6, 2, 3, 7, 2, 3, 8. Now the wind, optional to do that, 4 to 5. And then the last verse, which starts like with that really sparse version, right? Kind of sneaks back into the pattern, right? And the only thing that's different about the last chord is it tags the ending, it repeats the very ending. All right. It's a very elegant, simple song. I will have a tab available on my Patreon, and as usual, let me know if you have any questions or comments or requests or concerns or ideas or concepts. And I hope you're having a nice day, and I'll see you later.